They look very gonked up on the top, don't they? Yeah, it's just generally there's a few different things that need to be looked at here. Right folks, so welcome back to another video. Hope you're all having a great holiday season. As you know, previously we announced a AUDI TTRS project, which is going to involve taking the cheapest TTRS in the UK and combining it with a 500,000 mile caddy van. Now we are going to be starting the conversion very soon down at DDG Development, so make sure you do stay tuned for that. But I thought before we turn the TTRS into a rolling shell, we'll do like a full inspection. So yeah, without further ado, let's head over there and see what's what. Right, okay, so we're back down at DDG again with Dawood.
Hey everyone, let's go over this front to back. Let's see what we find and know what we're going to be working with when we're going to do this transplant into the caddy.
Of course,
and
yes.
obviously visualize everything underneath, or obviously what condition it's like, what we need to buy in terms of replacement stuff like straight away clamps and things.
Yes.
But yeah, let's go over it.
That's a good amount of oil, isn't it?
Yeah, looks pretty fresh as well in that middle bit. Trays off. Let's have a look where we can see some seeping from. We've got a lot of oil around this section of the under tray. Looks like we've got some buildup of oil coming from here. Now that could be one, gearbox, or two, it could be crank seal. Yeah. But with the thickness and the way it looks, I'd say that's more gearbox oil coming from this seal here. Second of all, you've got another leak from the sump in this back section here. It looks like it's been working its way slightly up, but it's not too high. And it looks like you've got a third leak from that return. Now, without cleaning all this off and running it, I can't verify what I'm saying, but this is just visually looking.
All right, so quick lamp switch around because we've got a bit of flicker. There we go, perfect.
See, that's a bit mullered there. We'll have a look at maybe get some fresh pipes on. It all looks completely stock. These bolts are very, very common issues on these cars. They're rotting away, but the clamps look in pretty good condition, so we can clean them up, use them again. We'll just take the nuts and bolts off that and replace them. The shields here are good. These bolts here are nice. Even the prop shaft looks pretty decent. Over here, look at the fuel filter.
That looks pretty new, doesn't it?
It's got a nice little bodge on there with some cable ties to hold the fuel pipes on.
Anything fuel related that's bodged is not very...
No, and that's quite worrying.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
something like that we'll sort out. Maybe we might run some fresh lines or something.
Got these as well. Say Bentley on there.
Rear reses.
Check that out.
They do as well.
They do actually say Bentley on
Bentley,
there.
and it's got a Bentley part number 3W0.
Maybe a W12 swap next, Dawood.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's W12 swap something.
Rear arms, these look a bit...
Not bad. Car has got a lot of dirt all over it, but like just rubbing it in my hand, that's clean up.
Yeah, look at that one.
It's all surface rust. The condition's not bad. The aluminium hubs at the rear, a bit corrosion on them, but nothing major. You would expect this sort of stuff. Like the RSQ3 I had, the one I took the engine out of, that was equally just as bad on a 14. Handbrake cables are okay, not looking bad at all. Everything looks pretty original in places, except the fuel filter. Tyres are good.
They're premium budget stores, are.
VR.
That's it.
We did have an issue with that exhaust valve, you did say, didn't you?
Yeah, so a lot of the viewers were pointing out that the fumes were only coming out of that side. Is there a stock valve or anything?
Well, the whole valve casing is actually cracked. Yeah, it's fully seized up.
So that...
You should be able to push that in and out by my hand. And these are vacuum operated ones, they're not electric, how the newer cars are.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's a bit like an R32 Mark V kind of vibe, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Mark 6R as well, the same.
Rear subframe, anything?
No, it's looking quite clean. Ali Bush's inserts, just corroded as normal. Oh, hang on one sec. I think we've got a cracked spring on this side.
You know what? I think I might have had a crack spring on that side of my Mark V, so it's nice and...
Yeah,
come full circle.
I can feel the crack there with my finger. Fuel tank, doesn't look like it's had any sort of hits or anything underneath. These straps always rust up, so that's quite normal.
In terms of brakes then, fronts, I believe there's not much of a lip on them, which is a good sign because we're going to nick them for the caddy.
Do need some pads, but I've got a set of brand new pads for these brakes over there on the shelf.
Right, I know I'm interrupting the video, but bear with me a second. I've just got something I want to quickly mention. If you enjoy content on this channel, do consider subscribing. I'm trying to level up things going to New Year, maybe get a workshop space and try a variety of different projects rather than the usual stuff. And your subscription definitely does help a lot with achieving that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. So yeah, let's continue with that inspection.
So let's have a look for that knock. So we know it's under acceleration, so let's try and move the engine.
It was almost like, I mean, I noticed it straight away when I drove it out of the auction. When you change between gears, it's like you're getting jolted in the head.
Look at the cracking we've got in that bush and the amount of movement we've got there. Straining the prop shaft quite badly as well with that movement. Bear in mind when the engine's under load, this is a lot worse. It looks like that passenger side mount up here is quite weak. You see the lateral movement in that.
Yeah.
that's probably collapsed because they're filled inside them.
So in terms of the caddy build, of course, we're going to go into detail on what bits we're going to swap over. But as a rough guide from here, what we're looking at, are we going to be transplanting the whole subframe in addition to the engine, or?
Hopefully that bush isn't too badly worn and the new one fits in okay. Then we'll use a subframe. We're going to use these arms. We're going to use the hubs, the drive shafts, steering rack. We'll have to get some new tie rod ends.
Yep.
Suspension, we need to decide what we're going to do on that, but most likely we may use that RS3 8P, because bear in mind the weight of the engine needs to be compensated for. The brakes will fit on fine.
Yep.
Majority of everything underneath is going to get used. The exhaust system, maybe we'll work something out with these secondary cats.
Yes.
It'd be lovely to change them.
Yeah,
but we're not going to really use the rear section of this.
Right,
So
okay.
we're going to have to figure out which way we're going to make a system, but I think you should go straight pipe.
Yeah, I think so too. I fully agree with that, and I'm sure the viewers do as well. That looks largely stock, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's spring stock. A lot of rust around it. And that
That-
shock has got a bit of misting around there as well, but nothing major.
This is a non-mag ride car, isn't it, as well?
Yes, this is non-mag ride. Arch liner delete.
Oh, this one, yeah, this one's a full delete. The locker's missing, isn't it?
This one's got the tiniest little click when you're knocking there, side to side, be that
Yeah.
tie rod end.
Rear brakes look a bit past it, don't they?
Yeah, they're not biting on the full material. The pads aren't bad at all.
Yeah, we've got a bit of meat in them. But they're just, yeah, as you said, they just
Could just
grab
be the
in.
sliders are seized.
the
Diff is
capsule.
okay.
Oh yeah, the front spinning. Cool, so that's the visual inspection of the underside. Just getting the car down now. We're going to pop open the engine bay. Now the thing with these TTRS is they have the SEPA engine. They're the early version of the modern 5-pot. This car, of course, is a manual, which is the MQ500 box. Now I was a bit worried to really push this car until we change a few things, namely the injectors, which I did mention in the first video. I went for revision Ls. Now we already made a start on a few different checks yesterday, so I'm going to run those clips now. I'm going to get the injectors out, compare them to the new ones, and just generally give you an idea of the carbon build-up.
Looks like we've had some wires that have been rubbed through on this loom when it's fully exposed. You're going to have to do some repairing on that loom before it goes back in. It explains why it's had a new EGT sensor, because the EGT sensor runs up this loom as well. It's had a new fuel rail pressure sensor on it at some point.
Yep.
It's had 2 brand new map sensors, because that wire there is signal earth, and signal earth powers the map sensor, the manifold flaps EGT, and the fuel rail sensor, and this map sensor here as well.
So this basically splits, doesn't it?
Yep. Clip at the bottom. Just undo that, otherwise it will break.
Okay. Cool. So that front part of the inlet plenum's off. These 3 are genuine. Is that one genuine?
One's NGK.
Revision on there. 07K, 905, 715F. The rocker cover was done last year, so I don't think it looks like there's any oil in these. There's a bit on that one.
Yes.
Yep. There's definitely fuel in it.
We love a bit of a spray, don't we?
Can you imagine after all of this, Dawood, that it already has the revision L injectors in it?
I had that in my head already with the amount of work it's had done to it. That's cylinder 4.
Yeah, we'll get them all laid out, but that's a little sneak peek there. That one's got all sorts of gunk on the top, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So all the dirt that was missing from the rest of the engine bay is
It's
clearly
been
there.
washed
isn't it?
down here, hasn't it?
These are the runner flaps that are coming out next.
Wow. Stuck in there. So we have given them a quick spray just to try and remove some dirt. Looks like these are the F revision.
Some people out there have had hydrolocked engines, etc., sticking open, ring landing failures, a lot.
Yes. Many issues, including melted pistons.
But yeah, these, a set of them, cost around £880 from TPS. Obviously, retail, they're probably a bit more. We've also gone ahead and got these clips. As you can see here, they're on the end there. Now, you can get upgraded filter baskets for these, which I probably will do soon. But for now, we'll get these in, so at least we don't have to worry about any issues of them sticking open, in theory. I've just switched to the iPhone here so I can show you a bit of the build-up. Quite a bit of carbon there. Again, more carbon build-up. Yeah, this could definitely do with a walnut blast. Now, we're not going to be cleaning these out today. We probably will do it later on once everything's all out of the car. Torquing it. There we are. Champion spark plugs. They don't look too burnt up, but I don't know. Never seen them in a car before. What are we doing here then?
We're just giving this a bit of a clean off. Spray it now.
Yeah, it's come up really good, that is.
There's always a little bit of divots within the casting of this, so you'll never get fully clean without blasting it.
Yep.
But compared to how it is and the amount of dirt that's just come off it.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of gunk on there.
That is a major improvement.
So I'm going to go ahead and put the new injectors in. We've got the clip, which goes like that, I believe. Looks like it makes sense that way. Another little tip as well when putting injectors back in, make sure to use some sort of lubricant on the O-ring on the end. We opted to use a silicone spray.
So the best way I found to get the injectors back in after doing a service like this is the fuel rail, the 3 bolts, leave them loose. Get this as far in as you can.
Yep.
And then we get the fuel rail and we give it a bit of a knock with the mallet and try and get all seated in. And then tighten up these 3 bolts, but by having the bolts in but loose allows you to locate it in a lot nicer.
Now unfortunately I didn't have any new spark plugs with me on the day, so I got the original ones back in along with the coil pack, so at least we could start the car back up and move it off the ramp area and onto the dyno. I know we have found a few different things in our checks today, mainly from a lack of maintenance perspective, but I still wanted to see it run on the dyno as it serves as a check in its own right, and we're going to be doing a bunch of work to this engine anyway once it's out of the car. Any prediction as to power?
We would like to see the stock 340 horsepower.
Yep.
Will it make it? I don't think so. I'd say 320s.
320?
310, 320s, yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair guess. So as you saw there, a fair bit of oily smoke coming out the driver's side exhaust tip. It's definitely being exaggerated by the fact that it has to travel through 1 tip rather than 2. But at least it gives us something to investigate when the engine is out. Right, so we have got some numbers to report though. The stock there, what, 340 PS?
340 brake, yeah. And usually about 450 newtons, would you say? This one's made 317 horsepower.
317.
Mid-range looks quite weird in the way it picks up, like it's quite flat and then accelerates on from there.
Yep.
Now that could be due to exhaust flow. One, the exhaust tip not working. 2, there could be other issues on it, turbocharger, other items like that. But until we look further, we won't really know. When the engine's out, we will.
370 pound-feet. Good amount of torque, to be honest.
Yeah, torque speed.
Even at that power level, that would feel amazing in the caddy. So
it runs well. Runs well. Even on the road,
yes, that is what you think it is. But yeah, that's pretty much it from the TTRS at DDG today. It's going to stay here, and the next video will be when it gets the chop essentially and goes into the caddy van. But let's head home now and I'll do a little wrap up of today. Right, so there we have it, a very thorough inspection on the TTRS. Overall not too bad. It's obviously had some bits of maintenance skimped on it in the past few years. But yeah, make sure you are staying tuned for the conversion videos. They're going to be starting very soon. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and also follow my Instagram. It's TRHams_ to keep up to date in the meantime. But yeah, I'll stop talking now and I'll see you in a few days time.